What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Laughing Man Network's Fantasycast. We're getting into week 8. Things are starting to get grimy. We're more than halfway through the regular season, and it's time to start making some difficult choices. Before we get into all that, guys, I want to thank anybody who's been watching, liking, subscribing. I want to thank y'all for sticking around with me. I know it's mostly family and friends at this point, but this is something I've always wanted to do, use as an outlet, get all my thoughts out, all my ideas out in fantasy football. Just stick around. When the off season comes around, I'm going to start working on rankings, maybe even a little mini draft guide. So stick with me for the basics for now, and hopefully I can grow into something that maybe can give you some legitimate advice and give some more people some advice down the line. As always, on the early week show, we got to get into injuries. We have a list of injuries this week. It's going to hurt a lot of teams who are trying to get back into the race, maybe even some top teams. We got some top names on this list. Starting off, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Looks like he just went out with a concussion. I can't even count how many concussions we've had this season so far, but most of these are usually maybe a week off. Expect Amon-Ra to come back, but until then, find a flex that you can fill in. Maybe we can find one on waivers this week. Next up, we have DK Metcalf. This was a huge hit. I was trying to get DK last night in a trade, but today he went out with a knee. They say x-rays are negative, so it doesn't look like he's going to have any kind of serious damage. They're going to get an MRI tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like a knee sprain, MCL, and expect him to miss a few weeks at least, maybe 3 to 6 weeks. Next up, we have Breece Hall. Everything coming out of the camp sounds like an ACL. It sucks for Breece Hall owners. This is a good young rookie, but it looks like it's going downhill now. It looks like we're going to have Michael Carter starting in New York. We have J.K. Dobbins. Right before the week started, the Baltimore Ravens put J.K. Dobbins on the IR. It looks like he's going to get a knee procedure to clean up some issues with the knee trouble he had over the offseason. So look forward to Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Kenyon Drake. We're not going to have J.K. Dobbins for a while, and he may not be the same guy for the rest of the season. We have Tannehill. Maybe you were playing Tannehill in your Superflex, but now he looks like he might miss a few weeks. He says he's going to try and get back out there next week, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him miss a week. It looks like an ankle. He was in a boot at the end of the game. Look forward to maybe Malik Willis getting a start for a week. Chuba Hubbard came in and looked like he may be the fill-in for Christian McCaffrey in Carolina. Dante Foreman was getting some carries, but Chuba Hubbard was the one who fell into the end zone. Looks like he hurt his ankle as well. He may come back. He may take a week off. Dante Foreman looks like he's going to be the starter there for at least another week. Mike Williams, we have another ankle. Looks like an ankle sprain. They're going to look at it when they get back home. They're going to figure out if it's a high ankle sprain, how severe it is, and how much time he may miss. But he couldn't put weight on it at the end of the game, so expect to miss him for at least a week or two. David Njoku. We have another ankle. He was in a boot at the end of the game. Harrison Bryant is the only healthy tight end in Cleveland right now. So it looks like he's going to get a week or two. They haven't come out and said Njoku's going to miss a lot of time or how severe the injury is, but I don't expect him to play in a week. Adam Lazard, he went out the game with a shoulder. He's Green Bay's number one receiver technically, but not sure how severe it is. Not sure if they're going to hold him out a week, but he did hurt it. He's not a speed receiver. He's usually one who does a lot of blocking. So that shoulder may come into play, so they may end up having him sit him a week. So that wraps up the injuries. Hopefully you didn't have any of these guys, but if you did, you're going to have to replace them for a few weeks. So let's look at waivers for the week. First up, we usually do quarterbacks first. There's really not much as far as quarterbacks going on right now. The only one to look at maybe is if you're a Tannehill owner in a deep league and you've been super flexing Tannehill. Malik Willis is out there. It's a risky pickup, but he may end up starting a week. So if you want to go pick up Malik Willis, you might be able to get him on the cheap or for $0. So that's only for maybe 14-team leagues or 12-team leagues where people are stashing quarterbacks and you have no other option. Moving on to running backs. Our top running back ad of the week is going to be Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards should have been getting picked up in the past few days, but he's 39% owned now. This past week, he had 16 carries for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards is always shown to be a very efficient running back. He averages 5 yards per carry in his career. Dobbins is going to miss some weeks. Kenyon Drake can't be relied upon. Justice Hill can't be relied upon. I can see Gus Edwards being the lead dog in this backfield. He's a good mix with Lamar Jackson, that lightning and thunder type thing. So if you want to add Gus Edwards, you need that running back help, go spend whatever fab you have left, spend a chunk of it, go get Gus Edwards, and try and finish out strong for the season. Breece Hall owners, sorry. He was coming on strong. He was looking really good the past few weeks. But Michael Carter, if Michael Carter happens to still be on your waivers, he was 66% owned, which means in most 10, 12-team leagues, he's going to be owned. Maybe not 10 so much. 12 teams, he's probably 14, 16 teams, he's going to be owned. But take a look anyway. 66% owned. Breece Hall is going to miss the rest of the season. Carter has shown that he can score points in fantasy. He's not a great running back, but he catches balls. He can do some running. He did all right last year when given the chance to start. Chances are they're going to run somebody else with him, so he's not going to get full touches, but his touches are going to go up with Breece Hall. Breece Hall was involved in the passing game, and Michael Carter, I think, is going to start getting those targets while they bring somebody else in to carry the ball. So go ahead and get Michael Carter, especially Breece Hall owners. Go spend a chunk of your fab. This is what you've been saving it for. You've been saving it for the major injuries. So go ahead and get him and hope for the best rest of the season. Third running backs, I'm putting them together. We have Chuba and Foreman. They're both around 62% owned. Most people were picking them up after the CMC trade. Go ahead and get whatever one's available. Chuba may miss a week, but it looks like they're both going to be mixed in. They both may be valuable. Dante Foreman's not involved in the passing game, but he is going to get the main touches. Chuba is involved in the passing game, may be more valuable in games that they're down, and Carolina is probably going to spend a lot of games down. So go ahead and spend a little bit on either one of these, especially if you need a running back. If you lost one of these other guys, use one of these guys as a backup to Gus or Michael Carter, and maybe you can fill them in for flex for the rest of the season. Fourth up, he's 60% owned, 66% owned. Most people are picking him up because they said he was going to start this weekend. Isaiah Pacheco. This backfield is really mixed up. They're still going to work CEH in. They're still going to work McKinnon in. McKinnon had some big plays. Pacheco got the start, but he still only touched the ball, I think, maybe 9 times. So if you want to pick him up, deep leagues especially, if he happens to still be there, spend a little bit on him, hold on to him for a couple weeks, see how the snap share goes. But I wouldn't expect anything huge this year. I think he's more of a dynasty grab. Wide receiver waivers of the week. Number 1 on the list, Wan'Dale Robinson. I've said him for a couple of weeks since Sterling Shepard got hurt. This is a guy they picked up. He played SEC football, so he's used to playing with the big boys. They started using him a little more. He got 8 targets this past week. His snaps keep going up for the past 3 weeks. He's 45% owned, so he's probably available in most of your leagues, 10-team, 12-team, maybe 14-team. A lot of people who play Dynasty had their eyes on him and everything, so anything deeper than that, he's probably owned. But this looks like he's going to be that guy they use when they need to move the ball. They don't have a lot of wide receivers right now. They're having a lot of injury trouble. So look for Wan'Dale Robinson to get some decent targets, and chances are he's going to get some made-up plays that are made for him. So expect good yards per touch. So go ahead and get Wan'Dale. I think he's the top wide receiver ad of the week. Go spend a little bit if you're lacking in your flex. and I think his usage is going to rise as the season goes on. Second wide receiver, Josh Reynolds, especially if you lost Amon-Ra St. Brown. I was saying Josh Reynolds was a move. It was a sell for me the past few weeks. Looks like he's going to be back in the mix. We have DJ Shark went to IR. Amon-Ra is going to miss at least a week, it looks like. Expect Josh Reynolds to get more usage in that offense. They lost to the Dallas Cowboys. It wasn't pretty. They didn't get much going, but their offense is going to always be playing from behind. So right now he's 47% owned. I'd go spend a little bit on him if he is available. Chances are somebody had him when he was on his good run, but maybe someone dropped him in the past week. So go take a look. I'm willing to go spend, 5% or so on him, have a wide receiver for your flex, especially if they're going to use him now that Shark is definitely going on IR and not going to be used for a while. Third wide receiver, I hate it. I told everybody to get rid of him weeks ago. Paris Campbell. Alec Pierce came in, looked like he was going to be the legit number 2 receiver on the team. He still may be, but this is also opening up opportunities for Paris Campbell, it looks like. In the past 2 weeks, Paris Campbell has 23 targets. He's turned those 23 targets at about 20 points per week. You got to add him. Go spend a little bit on him. He's only 11% owned. He's worth putting him at the bottom of your bench, especially with all these injuries. You can at least fill him in your flex position and hope he doesn't get one of those little injuries that he always tends to get. But go ahead and get him. The Indianapolis offense is starting to move the ball a little bit better. It's not the most efficient offense, but they are moving the ball. So go ahead and grab them for a little bit. Fourth receiver's up. It's going to be another combo. This is going to be Marquise Goodwin or D. Eskridge. Both of these guys are available in your leagues. Anything up to a 18-team, 20-team league, these guys are on your waivers. If you want to go spend a little bit and go grab them, we lost DK Metcalf on Seattle this week. DK looks like he's going to miss a few weeks. His ankle came up with a negative x-ray, but we may be missing him for 4 or 5 weeks or so. So Marquise Goodwin came in for him, played all of his snaps for the rest of the game. He got a few targets. He had a decent game. D. Eskridge has been getting used just about every week. They've been formulating little plays for him, getting him downfield a little bit, getting him open, but he's not playing a lot of snaps. Neither of these guys are direct replacements for DK Metcalf. Almost nobody in the league is. So don't look for that same production. But if you're in a 12-team, 14, maybe 16-team league, you need a little extra flex upside potentially. Lockett's going to be the man over there. They're still going to use their tight ends, but you may see a few deep balls to these guys. We've seen Geno has been a decent quarterback. He makes smart decisions. He may be able to make these guys pretty efficient. So if you want to go spend $0, $1, $2 or so, want to get Marquise Goodwin. Marquise Goodwin has had some good games in his career, but he's towards the end of his career. D. Eskridge, a lot of upside. He was their big draft pick last year, but neither of these guys is sexy. So if you need some help, don't want to spend anything, you can go grab one of these guys and hope it works out. So guys, as an extra little segment I want to go over today, like I said, we're past the halfway mark of the regular season, and we're going to have some decisions to make. These are going to be ways that I think that you may be able to finish your season out strong. Teams that are the top of the league, guys that are 7-0, 6-1, maybe even 5-2. You may be dominating games. You may be the highest max points. But it doesn't hurt now to start looking ahead. Start looking ahead for some of those big names that you have in your team. Some of those guys that are up and down. Maybe they have a bad week every few weeks. Start looking at your week 14, 15, 16. See who they play. Make sure they're not playing a Denver or a defense that gives quarterbacks and wide receivers and running backs fits. Go ahead, move those guys if you can. So you can start looking ahead. If you need to sacrifice a bye week where you're going to pick up somebody's got to bye, but they have an easy schedule come playoff time, I'm willing to start making those moves. So start looking ahead. Even if it costs you a little bit of depth, you can move a depth piece, get a stronger player for your starting lineup that has an easier schedule at the end. Guys in the middle, these are going to be your teams that are 4-3, 3-4. Hang in there. Season's not over. Look for some moves. See where your strengths are. See if you have extra running backs or wide receivers. Time to start making little tweaks. Look for the guys at the top who want, fill in a flex position. Maybe they lost an Amon-Ra, DK Metcalf, or Breece Hall. See if you can go move them one of your extra pieces and fill in somebody who's got an easy schedule coming up. Try to take advantage. Look ahead at your bye weeks. It's time to start looking at those because at this point you can't afford to take losses. You want to get as many wins as you can leading up. So look ahead. If you got a bunch of guys that have a bye week coming up and you're going to be missing 3-4 guys, maybe try to work some of those guys out and get some equal value, even if it's just a lateral trade. I think that can help you down the stretch and make sure you aren't going to cost yourself a game later. So try and look for those guys that already had bye weeks and see if you can work something with those guys. And don't even mention the bye week. Just try to make the trade name for name, see if they like them, but try to catch the easier schedules. Guys at the bottom, it's been a rough season. If you're 1-6, it's not necessarily over. Look at your standings. If your points allowed is sky high and your points for isn't that bad, maybe it's still in the middle. As long as it's not at the bottom, you may still be alive. Look at your standings. If your league takes in 6 teams to the playoffs, and that 6th place team, 7th place team is looking at 3-4, you're not out of it. You're 2 games out. You're 2.5 games out. Just have to win a few. Everybody's going to have buys. Some people are going to have to eat some losses. Grind and work your way up. If you have a guy like Mahomes, Josh Allen, if you have any of these big names and you're going down with the ship with them, don't hold on to them. Move out, get another quarterback, get another running back or wide receiver with them, maybe even a tight end, and try to get more points per week onto your roster. I know it's hard getting rid of those big players, but I've said for weeks that a guy like Patrick Mahomes is a perfect sell for me because you can get so much for him. So hang in there, look ahead, and just try to bang out some of those wins. Look at your buys every single week. If you have to make a move every single week to fill in a bye week, do so. You can't afford to lose, but you shouldn't quit. So hang in there. All those teams that are 1-6 right now. And the guys, same thing. If you're 2-5, 3-4, hang in there. Don't go down with those big names. Like I said, move away from them. Don't hang on to that guy. If you have that guy on IR, he's not getting you any points. You're expecting him to come back in a few weeks. You're Jameson Williams. If you need points now, move those guys now and get what you can. You have no time to wait. You need to win games now. You need to stay in the race. Be the first person to make those moves so somebody else doesn't make those moves and get those players on their team. So that was just my basic advice for looking forward to the rest of the season. Try and hang in there. If you're winning, congratulations. If you're down at the bottom, hopefully it's not seen next year yet. But also to some of you, thanks for the donation. So guys, that's going to wrap up our show. Hope these waivers help you. Again, everybody, thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for helping me get better. If you have any questions, hit me up an email, lifemanfb@gmail.com. Let us know in the comments if there's anything that we can do, I can do to improve the show. If you have any sit-start questions, let me know. Trade questions, I can help you out. So until next time, guys, when we talk sits and starts, buy low, sell high, good luck.